the point of decentralization is putting the power back in the individual's hands. And these days, that's usually defined as far as data, from a data standpoint, right? Everything we do online, especially, but even driving cars, that sort of thing, is just accumulation of data. And it's uncomfortable to say that because we're human beings and we have families and so on and so forth. But from a profitability standpoint, and how all these tech companies or social media platforms view us, is from a data standpoint, right? They're collecting data, they're targeting ads towards you, they're suggesting people to connect with online because of how you browse and your history and that sort of thing. That, I know, offline, it got us thinking about, well, what's the next shoe to drop if this blockchain, which we think is a game changer, if it takes off. So I think we have a few examples of where we think this might end up going. I'll let you run through one on your end. But again, the overarching theme, I think, is going to be we control our own data, and how do we benefit from that? Or an artist controls their own data. How do they benefit from that? That's kind of the interesting thing.
And thinking about how much data we as individuals create on a daily basis, right? It's an enormous amount of data. Everything that we do, all of our interactions on a daily basis creates a huge catalog of data for our tendencies, where we like to shop, where we like to eat, where we drive, all those types of things. You want me to go in my example first? All right.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at, and it was interesting, both of us were reading an article, and it was talking about the themes of decentralization, where it had composability, data, and then proof of physical work. Those are the three overarching, three major themes. And I was really interested in the composability theme, where they're talking about how to actually build these new structures on the blockchain. And the metaphor that they use for composability is a Lego. So each Lego block is a resource that developers can use to build a larger, more sophisticated structure. And for me, at least, that helps me picture, okay, so they're taking these different smaller blockchain-backed technologies, combining them to create a different structure altogether, or a more sophisticated structure of the one that's already out there. An example was for targeted fan engagement, which focuses on, and kind of a buzzword nowadays, is the creator economy. But what they were talking about in the article was that they believe there's an opportunity for somebody to build a blockchain native platform for artists to better connect with their fans. I think that's really interesting. The whole market around, whether it's an artist or an athlete or some type of celebrity, better connecting with their fans seems like something that is very up and coming. And the different ways that you're able to interact with your fans, I feel like there's a new platform every other week trying to do something in this space. But the example was, if you're an artist, right? So if you're, let's just call it, whatever band is your favorite band, and you upload this, so let's just call it the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The Red Hot Chili Peppers, they upload their catalog to, let's call it, Audius, which is a music streaming platform built on the blockchain. By uploading their catalog to Audius, they receive audio, which are tokens of the platform Audius, for uploading their tracks and having their fans listen to their music. So they're incented to upload their catalog of music and have people stream their music, and incentivizes them by receiving the tokens of this platform, in this case called audio. And the example they gave was, ahead of their next tour, they decided to reward their biggest fans by giving them access to pre-sale tickets. To do so, they would use what we're calling another Lego, or blockchain technology called Dialect, which is a smart messaging protocol that allows them to send messages based on users' on-chain activities. So they can see what activities their listeners are, or how many plays they're doing with certain albums of theirs. Um, and what they're saying is they decide what their message is and who can receive those messages based on, let's just say it's 1,000 listens to their album, and they can create a way using this dialect to give them early access to tickets, give them discounted tickets. But what it does is it creates numerous kinds of interactions that are possible with data on open permissible systems. That was the way they wrapped it up and summed it up. I thought it was really interesting from a composability standpoint. You're incentivizing both the artist, in this case Red Hot Chili Peppers, and their fans. Fans get discounted tickets, get first access to pre-sale tickets, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers are getting compensated for using these platforms. So I thought that was a really cool way to increase fan engagement, and also to release their music where they already have a huge following.
And by the way, I think this is from most of these ideas are probably from something called The Generalist, which is a blog that Mario Gabriel, I think is how you pronounce his last name, does. If you're at all interested, for the 8 people that watch this, if you're at all interested in cryptocurrency or the blockchain technologies and these types of industries evolving, the venture capital side of things, where money's flowing to, he's like every Sunday or so, he comes up with a long article about a particular area of the marketplace, and usually on the technology side, how this is kind of expanding into our lives, whether we know it or not. And it's really, really good writer. It's very detailed. To that point, there was another point that he made, which is, so you're talking about incentivizing the artist, and the other side of it is that artist incentivizes both. Artists could kind of recreating the record label idea of or decentralizing the record label. Artists could issue tokens to subsidize their work, right? So you go see somebody at a small venue or a bar or coffee shop, wherever it is, and you could in essence be an early investor in that artist. And if they became big, then either you as a fan and listener gain clout in your ability to find new talent, which is kind of interesting. And then the artist benefits, obviously, as a result of getting their names out there. It's really, really interesting. But that idea of decentralizing the record label, in essence, you're changing the entire capital structure of the music industry. So it's flipping it upside down. And these things are going to happen overnight, right? It's going to be one domino, then another, then another. But usually, we talked about this in the last episode, once those dominoes start falling, it picks up speed. And so it's going to take a couple big names to kind of get involved in this. Red Hot Chili Peppers actually would be a great example of issuing their work that way, because that would definitely upset the status quo. And another one that I thought was really interesting was it's something called Hivemapper, which is creating kind of a globalized mapping system based on the cameras that you kind of dashboard cameras that you put in your car. And so it's attempting the same thing that Google Maps does, right? But it's giving incentives to the drivers to have their camera on at all times. And so it's just a much cheaper way of mapping real time the streets or the streets of the world, in essence, and incentivizing the users. So they're giving up their data, incentivizing the users to participate. And they get, in turn, they get these things called honey tokens. It's a play on hives. And it's a cryptocurrency or a token that can gain value based on, like any other asset, demand. So if honey became in more demand and everybody's driving with a dash cam camera 3 years from now, presumably those tokens are worth more. So it's just a way of trading your data or participation in whatever the project is for some monetary reward or potential reward in the future.